Ladies and gentlemen, there's new information out regarding the FISA report that Chuck Grassley stated the intelligence community is basically there's overclassification of the FISA report. They're classifying everything, covering their tracks. Chuck Grassley suspects intelligence community covering up report on alleged FISA violations. Okay, so long-awaited release of this is the Washington Examiner, the long-awaited release of the Justice Department Inspector General's report on Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act violations has one GOP senator wondering if there is an intelligence community plot afoot. And he basically tweeted out all of the delays and excuses why the Horowitz IG FISA report isn't public yet after several months of anticipation of its issues leads me to the suspicion it's going to be deep-sixed by the intelligence community. Okay, so here's the way I look at it. You might say, oh, you're overly optimistic, H.A. Okay. The report is going to be written, whether they classify or redact or, mark out certain pages. That's not going to be relevant, especially after the election when Clinton loses. Clinton's going to run again. The Democratic Party is going to implode. Right now, the political will, the investigations are ongoing. They're not going to stop until long after the election, probably a year or two after the election. You'll see people indicted. Andrew McCabe is going to get indicted very soon. But you'll see other people indicted. You'll see a whole bunch of... the whole thing will come crashing down. Whether it happens tomorrow or a year after the election loss by Democrats, that I don't know when. The issue, the focus is simply on why they investigated Carter Page using laws and legal statutes that had nothing to do with investigating a campaign for potentially working with another country to hack the DNC to inform the public that Bernie Sanders was cheated. The interference all points back to their interference, just like the Ukraine non-issue. They're after President Trump for finding out that Democrats interfered in the election by reaching out to the Ukraine. They're accusing Trump of election interference because he dared to find out their election interference. The whole thing points to them always, and what they've done because they're able to utilize the media. They're able to utilize people's sensibilities to cover their tracks, to simply say, well, you know what, it's true, we cheated Bernie Sanders, but that's just politics. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. That's just politics. The real issue is that the Democratic Party. The real issue is that Trump worked with Russia, and he worked with Russia to hack the DNC, and that helped him. So finding out about our wrongdoing helped him. You see how that works? So what they've done here is they say, oh, well, you know what? We have Christopher Wray, we have the media, we have all of these, we have everyone that's still around the intelligence community that says, well, the power structure is still Democrat, run by Clinton, run by Democrats, run by media. So we're going to try to cover our tracks. We certainly aren't going to admit that we set up and framed President Trump. What we'll do now is we'll redact this report, or we'll classify this report. We'll take 3 to 4 weeks or 2 months or whatever to continually classify anything that might make us look bad. Then it'll take a year after the election or 5 months after the next election or even before the next election for Trump to declassify information like he has stated he was going to do. Or right now we're just basically in purgatory. I mean, the issue is not Oh my God, FISA's not going to lead to anything. Oh my God, they get away with everything. There's no justice. Trump is president. If Trump were not president, then there would be no justice, and they would have been able to engage in, either ousting a duly elected president or preventing him from becoming the commander-in-chief. They weren't able to do that. Obviously, if you read my writing in The Federalist, I explain, and especially the article that Rush Limbaugh shared 2 days in a row on his radio show. They set up Carter Page. They got the ball rolling because they said, well, you know what? There's a reason to investigate him. They used the Steele dossier that was purchased by Clinton to get the warrant. They also used Alexander Downer, the Australian ambassador's gossip and hearsay regarding a conversation at a bar with George Papadopoulos to get So 2 examples of using foreign sources. They're the ones who reached out to foreign sources. We know all of this. Under 18 U.S. Code 371, that's the statute I write about in The Federalist, that Comey and all of them could easily be indicted under. That many of them will eventually be indicted under because the whole thing is nonsense. Right now, you need another Clinton loss. You need another Democratic loss, especially a Clinton loss, which will happen, to truly provide the political will to get this thing going. Look, the FISA report is going to disclose a whole lot of information. It's going to explain that a whole lot of things should not have been done. The media then will spin it in exactly the way the media wants. So the State Department investigation came up and said 600 security violations. A whole bunch of people were culpable. But then they said there was no systemic, deliberate mishandling. But there's, of course, mishandling. The State Department investigation did not explain how Clinton was able to get top-secret intelligence, receive top-secret intelligence within her inbox. That is the Clinton email server fiasco. It's not whether she did all of this intentionally, which, of course, she did. The issue of intent was injected in by James Comey, and then media ran with it. But that's my point. The State Department review did not include the 30,000 deleted emails. The State Department review actually stated the whole thing was messed up beyond belief. There were security breaches. The whole planet hacked into her servers outside of the United States government. You had 600 security violations. That's what the State Department recent review stated. They spin it to, she's exonerated because they didn't find any intent. But there was never any need for intent under the 793F statute. So gross negligence was all you needed to be indicted under 793F, and people have been indicted under infinitely less. Again, this kind of treachery, this kind of corruption eventually doesn't win out Trump as president. So you can't have this defeatist mentality and say, well, you know what? I knew it wouldn't lead to anything. This could be the case. Chuck Grassley could be wrong, could be right. I think that Clinton running is going to be the best thing for the country. She's going to lose, obviously, but she's going to completely obliterate. She's running, okay? They're not going to go. Biden is running out of money, and Warren and Bernie, it's like a process of elimination. It's not that difficult. It's not like this. She's obviously running. I will have been right and predicted this since 2017 and accurately saw this coming a million miles away. But the issue here is, just like I was right about Clinton running, I was right that she would lose in 2016. She lost. I wrote in 2015 in the Hill, the Huffington Post, and Salon that she was unelectable and couldn't win. That's completely irrelevant as to why she'll run again in 2020 and almost certainly run in 2024. It's a political machine. But the political machine, just like Tammany Hall or other political dynasties, they don't last if they're this corrupt. This is not this type of corruption is not going to last forever, people. It's not like and say, oh, well, the IG report's coming out. You know what? And nothing's going to happen again. Nothing's going to happen. Well, there needs to be political will. There needs to be, when Clinton loses again, you'll have Democrats. You'll have a lot of Democrats. Well, not a lot, but you'll have more progressives than ever, more people on the left than ever saying, you know what? She needs to be indicted. This is too much. She's committed crimes, and it's one of the reasons they'll lose again is because they think all of this is just politics. Oh, you know what? Trump was set up. So what? So what? You know what? If we could set up Trump to prevent record low unemployment and the scaling back of U.S. foreign policy and peace between North and South Korea, the beginning of détente, and President Trump, first president to step foot in North Korea, and wages increasing, and 300,000+ manufacturing jobs created as opposed to 300,000 lost under President Obama. Ensuring we don't get into the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If we could have prevented all of this by framing Trump, well, it would have been worth it. So their fallback is not that they engaged, because when they're when all of this is completely exposed, and the IG report is unredacted or it's declassified, and then we go through the whole process. Okay, we have the IG report. It says that basically they framed a Carter Page to set up Trump, but there's one line that Democrats and media latch on to, like, you know what? Nobody thought that they were doing anything unlawful. And Comey really truly believed that Russia was infiltrating the election. You see, they really believed all of this. Yeah. So it didn't matter that Carter Page was set up and Papadopoulos was set up and Michael Flynn was set up and President Trump was framed, because they truly believed. So there was no intent. So it's not a problem. Then President Trump eventually will declassify the information needed. William Barr, they're not stupid. They know what's going on. There's no plan to trust. I never believed that nonsense, and I debunked that nonsense. Okay? This channel it's annoying to a lot of people, but you know what? I'm right a lot more I'm more often right than wrong. I'm not saying that, Democrats are going to, or people are going to get indicted, and Democrats are going to it's all going to come crashing down for corrupt intelligence officials and Democrats and Clinton because good wins out. No, that's not the issue. They think that Trump's the embodiment of everything horrendous. The thing that you have to remember is that the corruption is in plain sight. They set up and framed Trump. Whatever the IG report says now, it'll be declassified. They're probably overly classifying and redacting a whole bunch of the IG report to save face and to cover up their crimes. Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, we already know set up Trump. Even Democrats understand this. Now it's just a matter of acquiring the evidence where there was intent and where there was the motive or intent to deceive, to defraud. The 18 U.S. Code 371 statute is the statute I talk about. People, whether or not the IG report is classified or not classified, it's kind of irrelevant. It's going to take a year to 2 years to 3 years to get all of this sorted out. Eventually, people will get indicted. I'm not saying this because good wins out. I'm saying this because this level of corruption can't be sustained. We already saw President Trump. He won despite Bernie being cheated, despite all the corruption on the left. He still won, despite the media doing everything possible to harm Trump and everything possible to prop up Clinton. And they're going to do it again, and Clinton will lose again. And at the end of the day, we all know what took place. So Grassley might be right. The IG report might be a dud, or it might be actually bolster the case to indict people immediately. Either way, the investigation into all of this is going to span beyond the 2020 election. Clinton's running. She's going to lose. Then you'll have the political will. then you'll also have a more favorable media environment, because media and you'll have a more favorable intelligence community environment. People are going to gravitate towards President Trump. Maybe not outwardly. You'll probably see a lot more favorable coverage. What did I say about the coverage regarding Clinton? Are you not seeing it now? They're like, oh well, who do we have? Maybe we should nominate Clinton. Yeah, I said that this was all going to happen, and it's happening. So the same thing with the IG report. The same thing with finding out that they set up and framed Trump. And people are going to say, oh, this whole segment was just trying to justify the fact that the IG is going to be a dud and nothing's ever going to happen. No, things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Not because, like I said, not because good wins out, but because this type of corruption is not sustainable. So it really doesn't matter if the IG report is overly classified or not. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I talk about $2 billion. Clinton's going to raise around $2 billion. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so very much. She'll lose again, and then you'll have an expedited version of, or you'll have the political will, and you'll have a more favorable media regarding eventually indicting Clinton after she loses. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very, very much.